Good evening, everybody. My name is Chris Barth. I'm a Public Information Officer with Pacific Northwest Team 2. I'd like to welcome you to the virtual public meeting for the Bootleg and surrounding fires. Today is Monday, August 9th. And again, I just want to give a couple updates on the current status of the fires. Bootleg Fire remains at 413,765 acres. As of tonight, we're reporting that fire is 98% contained. On the Walrus Fire, the fire remains at 75 acres, and as of tonight, we're reporting that at 90% contained. And over on the Annex Fire, the fire remains at 84 acres, and as of tonight, reporting that at 70% contained. Another really great update that I wanted to provide everybody, that as of today at noon, all the evacuation levels in both Klamath and Lake County have been lifted. So next, I'd like to introduce the lineup of speakers that we have tonight for you. And first, we're going to start off with our incident meteorologist, Brett Lutz, followed by our fire behavior analyst, Bill Aney. Next, our operations section chief, Kyle Cannon. And then we'll hear from Klamath County Emergency Manager and PIO, Brandon Fowler, followed by the U.S. Forest Service Agency Administrator, William Dunk. And then finally, we'll hear closing comments from our Incident Commander, Rob Allen.
Good evening. I'm Incident Meteorologist Brett Lutz. And I want to talk to you about what we've had in terms of weather with the Bootleg Fire and what we're expecting over the next week. So this fire, got going from some lightning, and then we had a number of red flag warnings over the last month plus, as you likely know. Some of them for some really dry and unstable conditions, some for lightning, and others for wind. And one of the primary drivers of fire is certainly dryness, and then the other factor is when we have a lot of lift over the area, which we characterize as, we call it, instability. Also, the wind can really push things along. Well, on the bright side right now, the winds are pretty light, but the relative humidities are starting to drop again. So there's a bit of a concern. Okay, but with the light winds, we're going to be doing a bit better, but the heat is going to be a bit of a problem as we go forward. And that heat and dryness is then likely to be followed by a possibility of some thunderstorms as we get into next weekend. I've also heard that a lot of you are concerned about the smoke that's been around. Fortunately, the 3 fires that we're dealing with right now are not producing much in the way of smoke, but where we are getting smoke from is from Northern California with all the big fires there, and then also from areas west of the Cascades, the Umpqua Basin area. So in a general sense, each afternoon the smoke's kind of coming up from California, and then we get some northwesterly winds in the afternoon, and the smoke comes over from the Umpqua. Overnight, the wind comes down from the north and pushes that smoke back some. So we're going to see a variety of smoke conditions over the course of the next week. Some days are going to be better than others. In particular, it looks like Tuesday's likely to have less smoke than what we saw today being Monday. So as we go forward into the future, it's certainly summertime, and so we have more fire season ahead, but fortunately, we've seen a lot of good firefighting here that's really, slowed things down.
Good evening. I'm Bill Aney. I'm a fire behavior analyst working with PNW Team, the incident management team that's managing the Bootleg Fire. As a fire behavior analyst, my job is to take information on weather, fuels, and topography to predict fire behavior to better protect the safety of firefighters and the public during fire suppression operations. So for the Bootleg Fire, since the last update, happy to tell you that the fire has not gained any ground. It stayed within the perimeter that we've got established for it, but that doesn't mean that the Bootleg Fire is out. Within the perimeter of that 400,000+ acres is plenty of heat. What we're seeing is ground fire, occasional torching of trees, maybe even torching of a small group of trees, we call group torching, but nothing that's really putting any risk to the perimeter of the Bootleg Fire itself. The burning conditions are such, though, that fires can certainly get going, as we saw last Thursday with 2 new starts at Walrus and Yanix along Highway 140. Those 2 fires got up and ran pretty quickly with some uphill crown runs. and they ended up in that 60, 78, or 80 acre area before they were finally corralled, and there people are working on them aggressively right now to keep them where they are also. As you heard during the fire weather briefing, we are in a hot and dry period, and that emphasizes to me, and it should to you also, the importance of being careful with fire. Whether we're talking about smoking, chainsaws, whatever, fires really want to get up and run under these kinds of conditions, and it's worth being careful.
Good evening. I'm Kyle Cannon, Operations Section Chief with the Pacific Northwest Team 2 with an operational update for the Bootleg, Yannick, and Walrus fire. So the Bootleg fire has been in its footprint for the last 14 days in most locations. There are over 325 miles of control line, and at this point they've been holding well. We do have one area that we still have not called contained, and that's on the north part of the fire up here by Coyote Creek. Crews will continue to take a look at that area for the next couple of days, mop up where needed before we can call that contained. In general, across the entire fire area, we're patrolling those control lines, backhauling equipment to get it back into the system, and we do continue to do repair along the 2901 road as well as down here in the south part of the fire. As far as the Yannick and Walrus fires go, we have containment lines around those fires. We have hose lays around them as well, and we're mopping up to continue to control those and keep them contained in their area. Thanks and have a good evening.
Brandon Fowler, Klamath County Emergency Manager and Public Information Officer for the Klamath County Sheriff's Office. Our evacuation levels for the Bootleg fire had dropped a couple of weeks ago, but with the new fires that we had last week, the Walrus fire and the Yannick fire, we had briefly instituted some new evacuations for those areas near Bly Mountain. The Yannick fire, we dropped those evacuation levels on Saturday, and then the remaining evacuation levels on the Walrus fire, we dropped at noon today. So we've completed all evacuations for the Klamath County side as it relates to these current fires. And then we want to remind people that the fire areas, while residents can be in there, are really for fire crews and emergency responders, and only those residents that have to move about. They are not open to general public at this time.
Hello everyone. Over the last 35 days, we've had several Type 1 and Type 2 incident management teams here to help us contain the Bootleg fire. Now that we're nearing full containment of the Bootleg fire, we're looking to reduce that organization. Type 1 and Type 2 incident management teams have a very large organization with up to 2,000 firefighters on this fire at any given time. Now that we're looking to reduce that to help us with suppression and repair, you'll see far less firefighter presence in your communities. The closure order on the forest will remain in effect with these smaller organizations. This means that there'll be no public entry, including hunters, until the closure order is rescinded. This again is for firefighter and public safety. And finally, I just want to thank all our cooperators and the communities who've been so hospitable to all our firefighters, and we really appreciate that on the behalf of the Fremont-Wainema National Forest. Thank you all very much.
Good evening. My name is Rob Allen. I'm the Incident Commander for Pacific Northwest Team 2. We're back here on our second roll here on the Bootleg fire. We were here when it first got started, fairly closely after it first got started anyway, and then handed off to the Alaska team, and then have come back here to help clean some of the stuff up. You just heard Kyle Cannon talking about how many miles of line that we have that we've got controlled and started doing the repair work. Repair work is when we come back in after the fire has stopped the forward progression, and we repair the things that we might have damaged in the effort of stopping the fire. Normally you'll see a big operation ramp up for that, but given the fact there are 33 going large fires in the Pacific Northwest right now, both in Oregon and Washington, we're making an expedited effort to try to get things off of this fire and out to other fires where they're needed. Things like kitchen, hose, outhouses, aircraft, engines, crews. So we'll be working through the next few days, transitioning from us down to a Type 3 organization and sending it in to tie in with the local unit. There'll still be people out patrolling this fire. We'll still have a small unit starting to work on some of the key items that are our resource advisors have identified that need to be repaired immediately, and we'll be working on those as we move forward with a plan put in place to when we get back towards the end of the season and we're not in planning level 4 or 5 where we're a huge competition for all resources. We'll be able to come back in and do some more work to clean this back up. As we were cruising through, one of the nice parts about being on incidents like this is that we get to work with people from all over the place. It's been a huge effort to get this fire to where it is right now. As of today was the last shift for the Oregon National Guard. They came in 2 weeks ago. They've done their 14 days. They're packing up now. Some of them will be reconfiguring and going on to help on other fires. Others will be taking assignments that take them overseas, so we appreciate their help being here too. We had a crew from Puerto Rico that was here. We've had engines and hand crews and people from all across the country, from all agencies, all kinds of cooperators, both contract and state agencies. When Oregon State Fire Marshals was here, they'd brought up strike teams from California and from Utah. So it's been a huge effort to get us to the point we're at right now. We really appreciate all the support that we've gotten from you folks out there, our cooperators and our folks in the communities. We've had a great time going around and getting a chance to meet some of you. We're really happy that we can get this back into a better place. As of noon today, we lifted all of the evacuations from all of the fires that are around here right now. We had a temporary flight restriction over the area. That's been reduced now. So we're trying to get ourselves to the point where we can get you back to as much as normal as possible, recognizing that you're still going to have a fairly large black spot out there that is going to continue to put up smoke, continue to be something that you'll see all the way into next spring, but know that the local forest and our ODF partners are here paying attention to what's out there, and we'll keep you in good stead if we're moving forward. So again, we thank you for all your help and support out there. If anything big comes up, we'll make sure to point that out to you and get that information out. But appreciate all your support and have a nice evening. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I want to thank all of our speakers tonight. I want to thank all of you for tuning in and watching the latest update on the Bootleg Fire. This will be our last fire information update for the Bootleg Fire. We will, however, still have information available on the channels that you've been receiving that. Again, on InciWeb, on Facebook, and on Twitter, you can still continue to find information on the Bootleg Fire. And we encourage you to continue to post your comments and questions into the chat, and we will be monitoring those and answering those throughout the next several days. Thank you so much.